Something you may not have paid attention to while watching a movie or a TV show could be the details. Art could be one of those details. Art within these forms of media actually hold deep connections with each other. Art can be discussed and analyzed through its elements and principles. It includes paintings, sculptures, architecture, murals, and several other materials. Art in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure can be analyzed quite well, and you'll see what I mean throughout this video. I'm making this video for fun, plus I'm studying fine arts right now, so why not? Without further ado, let's begin our art analysis in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. If you forgot what the series was about, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is about the Joestar generations and what kinds of adventures and enemies they face. Disclaimer, there will be spoilers for Part 3 and Part 5. The evolution of art, Phantom Blood. The whole concept of Araki's art could be divided into several branches and ideas. However, they could be false since he hasn't made any statement regarding the elements within his art style. Beginning this bizarre adventure, we have the Phantom Blood arc. In the 9 episodes, the art style is already to be seen as unproportional, ugly, and too much exaggeration, which could be the case. The muscles on Jonathan during Phantom Blood are massive and detailed with thick and thin lines. This goes with the anime as well. Jonathan is still the same with the unproportional body, small head, and still extremely detailed muscles. There have been a lot of people sharing their thoughts on the art style, and they don't really enjoy it as much. Araki was learning his art style and improved it over time. Every artist stoops low before they could reach a high-quality art style after all. Throughout the pages in this arc, the coloring is usually kept to a darker, mute, and nude colors. The shadows and highlights express the intensity of each scene and panel. For example, in the panel of Dio shown on the screen, shadows are presented right under his hair, inner corners of his eyes, and brows. The light is shining above Dio's head. This emphasizes his character, which is sinister, evil, and sly. The emotion of this art could mainly be fear and intimidation. This goes with every scene in JoJo's that involves a serious event or scene. Progressing further, you can view the outlines of each character. The lines on Jonathan and Dio are sharp and defined. This is for the purpose of displaying their character. Dio is given much sharper features and lines to show you his personality, and that you could tell he was going to be someone intense for the series. Jonathan is given sharp features as well, but he's given some curves and rounder or square features such as his muscles and chin. A huge comparison I would like to make about Phantom Blood's art style is that it looks quite similar to anime art styles during the 80s and a bit of the 90s. This picture, right on the screen, is taken from the film Dangayo? I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry. Filmed during 1996. The use of thin and thick lines, sharp jawlines, and noses, and the eye shapes are similar to the manga panels of Phantom Blood. Characters back then may not be as muscular and huge compared to the characters in JoJo, but facial features are definitely similar. One thing I forgot to say is the architecture in Phantom Blood. It kind of reminds me of the theme of Gothic, at least the interior of the Joestar mansion and Dio's castle. I think the art style of Phantom Blood fits quite well with the story it tells, since it's supposed to be dark, serious, and totally bizarre. Beauty and colors, Battle Tendency. Battle Tendency stars one of the most funniest and famous JoJos, Joseph Joestar. The art in Battle Tendency is not much different from the previous arc. However, it shows more emotion. Joseph has the most expressive personality compared to the other JoJos. He fools around, resorts to violence sometimes, can be hot-headed, and jokes around. He's a troublemaker and a class clown in my eyes. Joseph is still drawn similar to Jonathan, muscular and huge. However, some improvements have been made. Joseph's head is slightly proportional in size to the rest of his body, but that doesn't change the fact that he's still massive in size. I mean, take a look at this scene with him and his wife, Suzy Q. His head is so large and hers is so small when you look at it side by side. Look at the hands. His are probably 10 times bigger than hers. Lines are still given to Joseph as to Jonathan and continues to give you a feeling of seriousness and strength. Battle Tendency as a whole is expressed with so many vibrant colors. A lot of them are neon and bright. In its opening, Bloody Stream, you can see how colorful each frame is, and the overall coloring in the manga panels are the same. Because of the bright colors, it follows up with Joseph's personality and character. The colors also resemble America during the 80s, colorful, bright neon, and excessive use of patterns. With the music, colors, and backgrounds, it presents us with a sense of fun, and the emotion expressed is joy, amusement, and it makes those watching want to dance along with the music. So, a contrast between Battle Tendency and Phantom Blood's arc is that Phantom Blood uses dark or mute colors with a lot of thick and thin lines, while Battle Tendency uses a bit more thinner lines with vibrant, neon, and bright colors. It's like one is dark and gothic while the other is kind of like a party. One last thing to say about the art in Battle Tendency is that because there are more uses of thinner lines in the outlines of each character and less detail on facial features, it makes the art look so beautiful. Joseph and his buddy Caesar Zappelli are probably, if not, the most beautiful JoJo characters ever. Their faces are clearer to see, and there aren't any heavy lines or shadows to emphasize anything dark. They're usually and constantly shown with the light striking at their sides and fronts. Except for that one scene, if you know, you know. Back to big and small, Stardust Crusaders. Alright, part 3, which is called Stardust Crusaders, features the grumpy boy himself, Jotaro Kujo. A huge key difference between the art style in this part is that it went back to the idea of lots of muscles and unproportionate heads. Jotaro's head is small while his body is so wide. Oh, and his legs are really long. How did he even get such long legs? This only goes for him, the rest of the Crusaders, some of the villains sent by Dio, and Dio. Kind of funny how the civilians they come across on their journey are perfectly normal and have proportionate bodies, while the main characters are trees and could pound you 20 feet below the earth. Lines are still used on the cheeks, nose, and the muscles are extremely detailed yet again. The geometric features used in these characters are used much more this time. You could see a lot of corners made by each line, such as Jotaro's shoulders. 3 lines connected creates his shoulders. Even in their ears and faces, geometric shapes are used. Throughout the Stardust Crusaders' journey, colors and mute colors are given here and there. Some episodes and panels were filled with darker colors, usually in fights, and some other scenes and panels, colors are spread all the way through. Some of the colors are usually on characters rather than background. The gang traveled from Japan to Egypt, facing new people in unfamiliar territories. If you pictured this part as some sort of image, you would probably think of the gang in a desert or in a low-populated city. While there might be colors shown, a good portion leans towards darker and mute colors. The purpose of their journey was to save Holly's life, of course. It wasn't going to be easy, and a lot of deaths could rise because of their journey. So with the colors, it does display more of a serious and sad vibe to the entire part. Shadows are always given to characters like Jotaro since he is a serious person and he doesn't show his emotions externally. We barely see him smile or show some sort of emotion. He's calm and powerful, so he doesn't need a lot of color to exaggerate his personality. Back to body proportions, some characters are perceived differently in other people's eyes. For example, Kakyoin Noriaki is shown to be skinny and slim according to several fan arts and comments about him. A lot of people describe his figure to be an hourglass. In the anime, his torso forms a V shape, so it does tell you that he could be skinny and, in certain angles, his hips are curvy. He still has muscles like the rest, it's just the way he's shown at times and what others see him to be. It's interesting to see what other people think about Kakyoin's character design, because some may think differently. Kakyoin has a lot of geometric features on his face. As for his hair, it's a weird yet cool noodle. The contrast between this art style and the last 2-part art styles is that although there is an excessive use of thinner lines, exactly like in the previous part, this part uses shadows and lights a lot more. Even in the final battle with Dio and Jotaro, heavy amounts of shadows and lights are used to tell us that this is going to be an important battle. Lights are often used to be the focus of whatever material, painting, or film you've created. Light is what catches our attention as well, so using that within these scenes was a great importance. The art style amongst these scenes and manga panels get darker and heavier. Because of that, it begins to fuel your emotions with fear, frustration, worry, and sadness. Using this would make us invested for more. This, of course, also leads up to a heartbreaking death. Spoilers to part 3 beyond this point, I am not sorry. The light given by Kakyoin's Emerald Splash continues to fuel hope to us before we come to his death. Light is often used for happiness, hope, life, and good forces. While darkness creeps in, the light will drive itself out. Right after Kakyoin is injured severely and lays in the broken water tank, his Emerald Splash disintegrates and darkness creeps in. Because light is slowly going away, sadness and shock is what goes through our heads. We could barely see Kakyoin's body in detail, but we know that this moment was going to be the last for Kakyoin. We never see him alive after that, and no light is shown upon him. At the end of Stardust Crusaders, the remaining survivors walk off into the sunset as their fellow members who died on their journey can be seen in the sky. The sunset could emphasize the end of their journey since we know sunsets occur at the end of the day, marking another day to come tomorrow. It ended this journey, but leads us to the next. Realistic and healing. Diamond is unbreakable. Part 4 stars Araki's current favorite JoJo, Josuke Higashikata. Did I say that right? I don't even know. This part takes place in 1999, which is perfect with the color scheme of this part. The colors are mainly pastel and soft, while also keeping a few dark colors for the trees, and light is shown most of the time directing at the characters' faces, rather than above or below them. Now this is where Araki's art style begins to change and become more realistic. Body proportions are better, since the heads aren't as small or huge compared to the rest of the body, and the lines are thin, like the previous two parts. Another point is that facial features and muscles are less detailed. It gives off more softer complexions to the characters. This art style also matches up with more recent anime art styles today. Josuke is pretty expressive like his father, Joseph. He's usually seen happy and calm, while at other times he could be chaotic with the right people. In the opening, Crazy Noisy Bizarre Town, it's the type of song to get you to move and dance. The art as well features a lot of colors, flashing lights, and like you're at a disco party. Everyone seems happy and enjoying their time. Part 4 wasn't as sad and depressing compared to the rest. In fact, only one person died, excluding the main antagonist. There were moments of laughter and smiles throughout the scenes and panels, and it was a sense of relief from the previous parts because of all the deaths and how much despair we received from them. This part could be seen as the healing part, to patch up our despair from the parts before. So, with the colors in the story, it keeps a joyful vibe throughout. The architecture is simple and cartoony in a way. There's no huge detailing like in part 1, it's more simplistic and average. The features on the characters are now more curved and using rounder shapes. It's nice to see the curves smoothing out rather than straight lines trying to connect into a curve when it looks like half of a hexagon. Even with such soft colors, we still get the mysterious and strange Yoshikage Kira. The art style is still able to bring us seriousness and fear. Not as much with Dio, but we could think that Kira is mysterious and strange. Unlike Dio, he has a weird thing for hands. He's not the type of guy to have the desire of taking over the world. He just does his own thing and wants hands because he's weird. Which is why Dio fits the previous art styles in this one, and this is why Kira fits this art style in the previous ones. Kira isn't that intimidating and scary as Dio, so he doesn't fit being in such a dark or sharply defined style. It's not that we don't get any shadows to emphasize his darkness, we definitely do. It's just that he doesn't fit a setting where it has tons of new colors and darkness. Classical art in Golden Wind. This part is absolutely my favorite to talk about because when I started watching part 5, I immediately noticed something and I'm going to share it to you right now. So, Giorno Giovanna is the next JoJo shown right after Josuke. Part 5 takes place in Italy around 2001, and right off the bat, I'm excited to talk about this one. I had a lot of fascination towards this art style because it heavily reminds me of Roman and Greek classical art. A huge example is this official art of Giorno on the screen. The pose he's doing is actually a pose made by the Greek god Atlas. The god carries earth above his hands. Do you see the similarities? I believe Araki was influenced by Roman and Greek art, so he portrayed it in part 5's art style. I figured this out because the facial features looked a lot like the Roman and Greek statues. The architecture in this part is wonderfully detailed, such as the famous Colosseum. The colors in Golden Wind are a mix of dramatic, emotional, and dark. I would say this part has half light and half dark, displayed in scenes and panels. In this part, the main goal for the gang was to get to Passione and have Bruno take the position as a boss. In Roman art, it's a common theme that shows idols and heroes. Bruno is one of the heroes in this part, which could further prove the connection with this part in Roman art. Classical art, with both Greeks and Romans, kept the same idea of showing off their leaders, gods, and goddesses. In Golden Wind, it does exactly that to Giorno and a few others. While classical art actually tries not to show a lot of emotion, this could connect to Giorno. Giorno doesn't show a lot of emotion, and hardly much from the others. At least people like Abbacchio, Bruno, Trish, and Fugo. The deaths that happen in JoJo's have the souls go up into the sky, with light shining above them as a sense of a new life ahead of them in peace. For Bruno's death, we saw little baby angels surrounding him as he gracefully floats up. You can see exactly the same thing happening within classical art when it portrays heaven. Take a look at this one. The person is floating up as there are baby angels surrounding him. The light shines above the person as well. See the similarities? It's so crazy and cool. I haven't read any of the manga yet, but I have seen a lot of official art from the other JoJos and redraws of the previous ones by Araki. His current art style reminds me of Golden Winds, except less of classical art. His redrawing of Jonathan, Joseph, Jotaro, and Josuke are so different, but it looks so great. Proportions have been fixed and they look normal. One person might say Araki has same face syndrome in his new art style, which I could see, but it's his art style, and to me, I have no problem with it as long as there's a clear distinction between each JoJo. Look at Jonathan's redrawing. He looks so different because we were so used to heavily muscular Jonathan. Because of the bandana, now he looks more like Joseph. The art over the years Araki has shown is spectacular. You could see the differences and the changes he's made throughout each part, and the anime clearly gave it justice and followed the art style as the mangas. Each part's art style is so unique that I don't want any remake of them. It's perfect for how it portrays each story in each JoJo. From setting to features, all the way down to clothing, tells us about the JoJo and the characters. You could tell what their personalities were based off of, based on the color scheme and use of lights or shadows. You could see the influence of where their art style was inspired and influenced by. This is what makes Araki's art style so great. It explores different styles using shapes, colors, and uses of lights and shadows. You could connect his work to several other ones and see how he took the ideas of the original and put it into JoJo's. It's so beautiful to look at as well, almost as if you were in a museum and looking at paintings. Araki's art style follows a few elements seen by other art, such as nature, humanity, life, and realism. I can't wait to see how his art style may shift in the future, and that's it for the art style analysis. Another random fun fact I would like to point out regarding Golden Wind is its connection to classical art. Dio means God and Diavolo means devil in Italian, which means Giorno is Jesus and defeats the devil. It's kind of interesting, actually. So that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for watching this video, and hey editor, I know you're listening to this. Thanks so much for your help. You know who you are. I originally wrote this all on a Google document and made it really fancy. I might post a link in the comments below perhaps, or the description. I don't mind anyone looking at it. But yeah, I've had JoJo brain rot for so long now. It's been like 2 months? And I'm still so obsessed with it. It's so funny because I get so over emotional for literally no reason. I just remember some character's death and I just start crying. Like whether I'm in the shower or I'm just looking at some random Instagram post or a TikTok or something. It's crazy and wild. I might have to also get a Reddit account because I want to get my art analysis essay kind of all over social media. I don't care if it really gets famous. I just want to share my thoughts and I want to see what you guys think. You could comment down below or something. Depends how much views this video gets, but we'll see about that. So yeah, maybe see you in a future video. I honestly don't know if I would even plan to make more. But thanks so much for watching, and well, have a great bizarre adventure.